that day. Um, and from then, when I left school when I was 17, I was signed up by
What
Arcadia
year was that?
Carls. That was in 1983.
1983.
Yeah, 1983, I left school. I signed for Arcadia Carls. I was with him
Okay.
for about 6, 7 months
Okay.
before it wasn't too successful. As much as I was touted as one of the best young goalkeepers in the country alongside Nat Bursmark at that time, was also at Arcadia. And
Okay.
things didn't go too well. I left. I went back home to Bulawayo and signed for Highlanders, where their coach at that time was Bobby Clark. I was with Highlanders up until the end of the season. I played in 2 league games at that time. They fought relegation up until the last 2, 3 games of the season, and we managed to survive. When that season ended, I left and I signed for Eagles. I was with Eagles Football Club, which was former Bulawayo Wanderers. And I was with Bulawayo, with Eagles for about 3 seasons, nearly 4 seasons, up until it was 3 seasons, up until 1987, when I signed for Zimbabwe Saints with my younger brother, who was already at the club for 1 season. And I was with Saints up until 1990 for about 3 years. At that time at Saints, we won the league, we won the Chibuku Cup, played in the Champions League. And in 1990, I left Saints, I signed for Highlanders. Highlanders won the league at the end of that season. And I picked up an injury while I was at Zimbabwe Saints, a back injury which just got worse as the years went by. And by 1990, just midway through that season, at the end of that season at Highlanders, I realized I couldn't go on. I had tests done and I had to go for a back operation, where they removed 2 discs from my lower spine. And that was the end of my career with the big clubs. I then went on. I had rehab for close on to about a year and a half. And some friends of mine had started a team in Barham Green, the suburb we lived in, where the team was called Kaiser Wolves. And they asked me why don't I come in and coach them? And during that time, during my convalescence, getting rehab and getting my back right again, I was doing my coaching courses because Roy Barreto, who coached me at Zimbabwe Saints and Highlanders, had said to me, P, you're coaching, but you need to do your licenses in order to understand exactly what you're doing and, your periodization and loading aspects and recovery. That all only comes through you doing your badges, which I did at home. I got all my badges, and Kaiser Wolves, where I was player coach, we started off in the 5th division in Bulawayo, and we won the league every season up until the national 1st division. We then amalgamated with Shoeshine, who were relegated from the Super League at that time, and amalgamated with them. And for about half the season, we started the league off. We were sitting probably top half of the table, mid-table, and things didn't go too well, in a sense that there were no finances coming through. And at that time, and still probably the same right now, we were unable to make away trips because of finances. And I just went and I saw the owners at that time, and I just said, listen, this is not working. And the thing is that you guys, and my players that came with me from Kaiser Wolves, we actually going to walk away from everything, and you guys can continue. If I'm not mistaken, Shugam Goyo came in and he took over the Shoeshine side of things, and he continued coaching there while we walked away and became a social team after that. Okay. And that's probably my footballing journey in Zim, apart from being with the young warriors at that time as well, as a 15, 16-year-old, being the
You
young
played
goalkeeper
for
there along.
you played for the Young
Sorry,
Warriors. You played for the which unders?
the under
Like
20s,
which unit?
the Zoom under
Under
20
20
team.
as a
Yeah,
15
it
year
was
old.
myself. I was alongside guys like Madinda and Lovo, Moses Chunga, Willard Kumalo. We were all in the young warriors at that time.
Yeah, it
And
was
then,
a star blended Young Warriors.
no, absolutely, Jimmy Mbewe, some really outstanding players that came through the young warriors at that time. And
So
um, at the end of my first season, when we were with Highlanders, that was in 1983. I was selected for the national team alongside Jaffadim Parutsa was the senior goalkeeper, as well as Rafael Piri.
wow.
And we went on.
How
We
old
went
were
down
you, sir?
to. At that time,
How
I was
old were you?
17. I was
Hey
17
man,
years
so
old.
you were always starting at an early age.
Yeah, no, look, I had a lot of ability and talent, but uh, at the peak of my powers, like I said, in 1990, I had to go for a back operation, and that's when I retired from playing at the highest level.
Okay.
That was in 1990. That would put me
So
around 25, 26 years old at that time.
okay. So how was it playing with players like Madinda Ndlovu, Jafet Mparutsa? Yeah, all those big guns.
Now, listen, on Facebook, and when people contact me and, hey, Pernell, my dad used to tell us about you, and it's so nice to meet a legend like you and things like that. I always tell people, look, I'm not a legend. I didn't do enough as my brother, as everybody else who went ahead, played continuously for the national team, won trophies and stuff like that there. But I was blessed enough to have played with and against legends. Joel Shambo, Sheikh Mantaro, the late Stanley Ndunduma, late Joel Shambo, all of these players I was blessed enough to play against. I mean, the Zimbabwe Saints team that won the title in 1988.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
I mean,
okay.
we had players like the late goalkeeper John Sibanda, myself, Benin Zelengwe, Mishek Spanda, the late Shane Kamal, Joseph Machingura, Stanley Mtasa, Obey Sova, George Ahibu. We had fantastically gifted, talented players, and I was lucky enough to have played with them. I mean, the the 22-23 game unbeaten run. John got injured, I think, within 3 or 4 league games of the season. He had quite a bad injury where he had broken his cheekbone and fractured his eye socket. And I was afforded the opportunity to play, and I played in 19 of those 22 games unbeaten. That was probably the longest run I've had playing for a PSL, a Super League team at that time. So like I said, I'm not a legend, not by half of what everybody else achieved, but I was blessed enough to have played with and against legends.
Are you not just being humble?
No, 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 bro. You look at okay, you look at a guy. Okay, people in my position. You look at Jaffet and Parutsa.
Yeah.
You look at all the
Did you
other
play with Bruce?
goalkeepers at that time. No, no, no. I was lucky enough during the Dream Team days to have coached Bruce Kroll because I was part-time goalkeeper coach of the Dream Team at that time with the national team.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't play against Bruce. Bruce is older than me by about 7, 8 years.
Okay. So
But
practically, so
apologies, please go ahead.
you said how many matches did you play for the senior team?
For the national team, I've only got 2 caps. For the young warriors, about 8 or so.
Okay.
I've always been I've always went to clubs or been with the national team that already had an established #1 goalkeeper.
Okay.
I mean, that time with Lucky Dube, and then where I got some of my caps, it was myself and Nat Bursmark that were #1 and #2 at that time. And then obviously Jaffet, Rafael Piri with the national team were, during my era, were the main goalkeepers at that time. And I mean, just before Jaffet, you had Frank, the late Frank. I mean, sorry, I won't say late, I'm not sure now, but you had Frank Mkanga as well. That was during the time of Jaffet's era that Jaffet took over from.
Okay. But what was your dream? What motivated you to be a footballer at a young age?
No, I tell you, Victor, I've always wanted to be a professional footballer, to go overseas and ply my trade overseas. And it was always a dream of mine. From 5, 6 years old, vaguely I remember with my late father, with him and his brothers kicking balls at me when we stayed in a place called Hunters Road, which is between Bulawayo and Gweru. And I've never wanted to play in any other position but that day. And my inspiration was obviously watching, at that time it was called Big League Soccer, which is the Barclays Premier League, the Premier League in England. We had a show called Big League Soccer where they used to show all the games and all the goals. And you had the only live game we used to get was the FA Cup, which we watched live. And I'll never forget, I think it was 1973. Sunderland were playing Chelsea in the FA Cup, and Sunderland's goalkeeper, I can't remember, I think Percy Montgomery, if I'm not mistaken, was probably man of the match. He was outstanding. I mean, I was sitting on the floor in my late grandmother's bedroom with her on the bed watching.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the performance that guy gave. It was absolutely outstanding. And from that time already, I said, yeah, I was 8 years old. I wanted to be like that guy. I wanted to go to England. I want to play in England. But unfortunately, my back injury, that didn't happen.
Which team did you want to play for in England?
There's only one team. That's Liverpool.
What was your dream team?
Liverpool was my dream team.
Yeah, I just asked, but I know.
And then you know the thing is, with Bruce Robler going there in with Bruce Robler going there and becoming their goalkeeper, it cemented my love for that club even more. I mean, before that it was Ray Clements. Before Ray Clements, it was I forget his name, but they've always had brilliant goalkeepers at Liverpool.
Yeah. I think we just had a problem of network a bit. But
okay, now I'm back. Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
in Zim,
yes.
In Zim, you played for which club? How many clubs?
I started my career off at Arcadia Cowls. I then went to Highlanders for about 4 or 5 months. And then I was with Eagles for 3 seasons. Then Zimbabwe Saints for another 3.5 years. And then I spent 1 season in 1990 with Highlanders. I would have been there longer. Unfortunately, I had to go for a back operation because I was collapsing during training. I was collapsing Yes. No, Carls, Arcadia, Highlanders, Saints, and Eagles. So it's just 4 teams that I played for. And then after that,
Okay.
once I started coaching,
But where did you really
once I
enjoy
started,
playing your football? Which club?
well, I can tell you it was all the clubs, all of them, all the special part in my heart, all of them. But I've always been a Highlander supporter, even though I played for Zimbabwe Saints. And there's always a joke from Mishek Spanda every time we played against Highlanders. It was, P, if you in goals, we're going to have a problem. But I must say, every time I was with Saints and we played against Highlanders, I never lost a game. Hi, Victor, are you there? Hello? I think I've lost you, Victor. Hello, Victor, are you there?
Sorry for the inconvenience caused by the network. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you.
I
We are
think
back
we
again
on
to
now.
the viewers. Yeah, to the viewers at home, we are back
Yes.
again. I'm interviewing Mr. Pernell Mcop, Zimbabwe football legend, though he doesn't want to refer himself as a legend. But I may have to. Today I have the honor to refer him football here in Zimbabwe. We are proud of this man. I have to tell you, That's why you see people, they are always referring you to as a legend. There's more you have contributed to the growth and of our football outside the country, and when you were playing. So you are always in the history books. You cannot rub that. You cannot
No,
deny.
thank
Hey,
you. That's
it's good to be
very
humble, but
kind of you.
yeah. So
No, very kind,
where did
Pernell.
we?
Very kind.
I think we left at when you had stopped playing for Highlanders. You had a back injury, so we want to venture into when you. That's when
Yeah.
you stopped playing professionally, is it?
No, that's when I started coaching now and helping out at the clubs in Bulawayo. I mean, Roy Barreto, when he was at Amazulu, asked me to come in and work with the goalkeepers. You had Farai Kayembe, who was from Black Rhinos, that was there. Highlanders, that was when I was working with Raman, the late Raman Gumed asked me to come in at one stage and help with the goalkeepers there. So, I mean, all of those they that contributed and helped to get me to where I am today.
Yeah.
Because in 2004 is when I left the country to move to South Africa. My family still stayed in Zimbabwe, and they still stayed in Zimbabwe. Well, I moved here to try and find a job in
Okay.
coaching. I mean, I worked for
Okay.
Barclays Bank at home for nearly 20 years, and I decided
20
that
years.
I wanted, yeah, I wanted to do what I love most, which was coaching. And Roy Boretta at that time was with Manning Rangers in Durban, and he said to me, "Listen, P, why don't you come up? I got no goalkeeper coach here. We're struggling in the PSL, and we need
Yeah.
somebody to come and work with the goalkeepers."
Yeah. Sorry to intervene for a minute. Roy Barreto was a coach at Highlanders at some point, is it?
Yes, at Highlanders and Zimbabwe Saints. He won the title at Highlanders. I mean, first at Zimbabwe Saints, and then he moved to Highlanders and then won the title there as well.
He's another Zimbabwean football great here.
Yes, no,
I'm just
definitely
talking
he is.
on behalf of the those who would the 2000, the 2Ks, and all these young
Yes,
ones, so that they can go through the
yeah,
history and understand. Yeah, yeah, you can continue.
yeah. No, I mean, uh, even at the dream team, it was Fabish Barreto and Sunday Chidzamba. Well, at that time,
Yeah,
Marimo.
yeah.
So, but like I said, Roy was already in South Africa, and just prior to
Okay.
that, he was coaching Free State Stars. And I used to take leave from the bank and go up for pre-season with him and work with his goalkeepers. And then after 6 weeks, come back home and continue working. And then like I said, that was 89, 90. And
Okay.
then in the year 2004 is when I left the country and moved to South Africa. First at Manning Rangers for about 5, 6 months with Roy, working with his goalkeepers there. And I said to him, "Listen, Roy, it's I've now got to find something that's permanent. It doesn't look as though the chairman or the owner of the club at that time was going to offer me any work." So I said to
Okay.
my wife's people, her mom and dad and them lived in Cape Town. I said to Roy, "Look, I'm going to go up to Cape Town and I'm going to work on something there and see what's possible." So I packed my bags. I got on the bus and I landed in Cape Town 2 days later. And my mother-in-law and then picked me up at the bus station. I then went on and faxed every single club in Cape Town my CV. And luckily for me, Santos Football Club that were in the PSL at that time, their goalkeeper coach had left and gone to Ajax. And the head coach, Bobby Solomons, he said to me, "Listen, why don't you come on down? Let's see what you have to offer, and we can work from there and see if it's possible." So on my first day I arrived there, they were at Hartleyville Stadium where they were training. They had two very young goalkeepers. Brendan Waddle. Yeah, I think he was about 19. And another young goalkeeper called Ryan Wust. He was also 19. And these are the guys that they were using in their first team in the PSL who were novices. And after my first session, Booby said to me, listen, coach, why don't you come in now? I'm very happy with what I see. You can continue. We'll speak to the owner of the club and get things sorted out. So I spent 3.5 months, nearly 4 months of the final part of the season with them. Managed to survive relegation. And at the end of that season, I decided, I haven't seen my family for close on to 5 months, 6 months. I'm going to go home. And I told Booby, I said, listen, I haven't heard from the chairman. I'm going to go home, back to Zim, where my family are. I think I was at home for about 2 days when I got a call. It was the chairman of Santos who made me an offer. And he said, and you have to come back now. Reason being is that we are in Africa. And the team only had a week's break and they're back in training because we got 2 or 3 games to go in Africa. So I packed my bags now knowing that I have a permanent job, came back to Cape Town. And I was with Santos for nearly 2 seasons. I worked with Booby Solomons, Raul Paulson, Clive Barker, the late Clive Barker, who was Bafana coach who won the CAF Cup with them. And from there, I moved on to Free State Stars. From Free State Stars, I moved on to, we were in the PSL at that time. I then moved on to a team in the National First Division called FCAK, where we signed players like Enkel Badina, the late Charles Johane, Elasto was Elasto Lunga at that time, is now Kapoweza. So I worked with quite a few Zimbabweans that were there, and our head coach was the late Ian Palmer. And once I was done there, I moved on to Maritzburg United, Bay United, Black Leopards, and eventually Ubuntu, who were in the National First Division as well. And then now finally in 2019, I signed for Stellenbosch Football Club, who I'm still with at the moment as the head of goalkeeping and in the club.
So how was the process in getting employed as a foreign national in South Africa?
Yeah, no, look, when I got to Santos, when I got to Santos, and eventually when I flew back from Zim, and I sat down with the owner, they normally organize work permits and residence permits for you and stuff like that. But I decided to, because my wife is South African, she was born in Johannesburg, but they grew up in Zimbabwe. And she still had a South African passport, ID, and papers. And through that, I met a friend I met somebody who eventually became a friend. And he said to me, "Lo, listen, what I can do for you, I know 2 labor lawyers who he introduced me to. I gave them all my paperwork. I think within a month before my holiday permit expired, they had organized temporary residence for me. And then with the letter from Santos Football Club, I got my papers to work. And eventually, after 3 years, I got permanent. After 5 years, I got permanent status. But in that period, I had temporary residence up until I got my permanent residency. And that was through going through my wife and not using the clubs. We normally do that for all foreign players. I got my papers on my own. But Victor, the thing is, people at home can look and say, "Hey, you've been there a long time and things must be good." Let me tell you, it's not easy. The grass isn't always green on the other side. I mean, I've helped quite a few Zimbabwean players come across, get clubs for them. And hello, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear.
I got clubs for them. I mean, when I was at Santos, they sent me back to look for players. I found Zvinika Makonese, who I brought back with me.
Yeah,
There's been two or three other young players that came through, signed for clubs, and it's those that type of door has closed now. That people like myself are used as conduits to try and bring players in. The clubs don't allow that anymore. I'll give you a good example. Like our club, we have a recruitment officer, and we only recruit players via data, through nothing else. You can't come with videos, you can't come with CVs, and no, they don't. If your club is not monitored by every team these days wears satellite tracking pods. That you see the bras, the vest that the players wear under their jerseys. Those have
yeah,
pods in, and those satellite pods give you every information about every player wherever they're playing in the world. That's their daily trainings, their match statistics, everything. And our club only recruits players via data. There's no such thing as an agent phoning and say, I have three very good players. I need you to have a look at them. Can you give them trials? Our club doesn't do that. Most clubs don't do it. They go on data. If your data in that position for that specific position is compared with other players throughout the world or within the country, if your data is better than that player and it's a good fit for the club, they eventually get to meet your agent via either Zoom or telephonically. Negotiations are done, and then that player, if he's out of the country, is flown in, or if he's at another club, he's brought in, and the player's already signed before he arrives at the club. Unlike before, you spend 2-3 weeks looking at players, and then you make up your mind. We did have one player that our DDC head coach had told us at the beginning of the season, hey, there's an agent worrying me, man. Oh, every day this guy's on my neck. Coach, the boy's already in South Africa. He's speaking to Steve
yeah,
Barker, the head coach. He's already in South Africa. Let's just have a look at him for 2 or 3 days. That player
yeah.
came. He was highly impressive. Beginning of the season, highly impressive.
Okay.
This is the boy from Botswana, the striker Daniel Masendane,
Oh,
who's now with the
Sandani.
national team.
Yeah, he's Zimbabwean.
Yes, he he came down, and when I found out that he was Zimbabwean, I was even more excited. I said to Coach Van, our head of the DDC, the reserve side, I said, no, man, finally we're bringing on a Zimbabwean player here. And without
Yeah,
data, I'm so excited. I introduced myself to him. Very nice boy, great character, very good
yeah, he's,
footballer. The
yeah, he's very
club,
talented.
the head coach, yeah, the head coach and everyone else were very impressed with him. Unfortunately, we had already signed our players. Our foreign quota was already full.
Okay.
So if it wasn't because of that, that would have been will probably been the only player we signed via a normal trial. When agent speaks to you, the boy comes. But normally, we never have trials. We just look at the data. If the data is up to standard and is better than everyone else in that position, then the club signs them. We don't even look at videos of those players.
You no longer
It's just
look at
according to
the.
their data.
Okay.
No, not our club.
So when did
Not
it
our club.
stop?
It's down to the satellite tracking and the
But other
data
clubs are
that they
still doing that.
produce during. Sorry, you broke up there.
I'm saying other clubs are still doing that. Or it's now a
I'm not
new
sure,
phenomenon.
but I'm quite sure that look, most of the clubs, Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, Cape Town City. They're all using the satellite data reading. I don't know if they recruit via data, but we do. Stellenbosch Football
Okay.
Club do that. I don't know about the other clubs. I mean, you're looking at the Argentinian player that we had, Junior Mendieta. He was recruited via data. The Colombian player that we had here as well. Unfortunately, he picked up quite a bad injury, and the club couldn't hold on to him and had to let him go. Oxum Tetwa that we took from Black Leopards. Nobody in the country was looking at that boy. But according to his data and his stats, we brought him in. Today he's at Kaiser Chiefs. Mendieta has been sold to Sundown. So, like I say, football has changed a lot, a hell of a lot.
Yeah, but I think in developed countries, that's where it really has changed. But there are some countries which are still lacking, like back home in Zim. It's still
yes.
They are still using this.
You see, the thing is,
These agents.
I get a lot of phone calls from agents telling me about players. That's out of my hands these days, unfortunately. We have a recruitment officer, and that's what his job is. If we need for a position, if we're lacking in a position, let's say left wing back, he'll go and check players in that category, check their data, check what their earnings are, and all those things have to match up before we even speak to the agent. When it matches up, we make contact with the agent, and then the negotiations start from there.
Wow, it's interesting. Yeah, so
it's quite
has really evolved.
No, it's big time. Really, really, it's changed so much. I mean, I'm here for 20 years now, coaching. Like I said, it's not easy. The grass sometimes is not always green on the other side. I mean, I spent 9 years living without my family. I used to only go and visit them. I mean, the first 3 years while I was here, they were still in Zim. My son was finishing his O levels at school. My daughter was finishing primary school. And eventually, when that was done, after 3 years, they moved up and they joined me in Joburg at FCAK. But 6 months after that day, when the season ended, I had to leave FCAK because the club ran out of money. And luckily for me, the head coach at that time, the late Ian Palmer, he got a job at Maritzburg United, who were relegated from the Premier League. I joined him at Maritzburg United, and within 1 season, we got the team promoted back to the PSL. But my family stayed in Cape Town. They didn't join me in Maritzburg. We've kept Cape Town as our base for schooling, so that at least they have a stable life. Because, I mean, you can lose a game, and then by the next morning be told, listen, you must pack your bags and go.
Yeah.
And that's how bad and rough things can be. So, I mean, we got Maritzburg promoted. We won the title in the first division, the national first division at that time, and Maritzburg got promoted. And 2 weeks after coming home for the off season, and leaving them with a plan for the following season and the players we required to start the season and everything. 2 weeks later, we got fired while we were sitting at home.
Yo.
And the club then employed Gordon Ingerson. Ingerson came in and he became the head coach of Maritzburg. Myself, the late Ian Palmer, and the assistant coach, Coach Ashwin Sutton, were sitting at home with no jobs. But the good thing is for Ian Palmer, he's an ex-Orlando Pirates player. They brought him on board as assistant coach to the Dutch coach, Rudy Krol. I was lucky enough that Bay United, who finished second to us the previous season in the NFD, they got promotion via the playoffs. And the coach from Serbia saw that I didn't have a job, and he phoned me straight away, through my agent, got hold of my agent and said, listen, man, I need that big man. I don't have a goalkeeper coach. And I like what the big man was doing with the goalkeepers at Bay United. I mean, yeah, at Maritzburg United. Please, is it possible? Does he have a job? And Russell said, no, he's actually looking for work. And 2 weeks later, I was flown up to Port Elizabeth. I left my family, and for 18 months, I lived in Port Elizabeth and worked for Bay United. Unfortunately, Bay United got relegated. And during that time, Maritzburg, who were in the PSL, things weren't going well for them. And I got a call from the general manager to say, hey, listen, do you think you can forgive us and come back to the club? I said, there's nothing to forgive. It's football. It's business. I was out of a job at Bay United. They called me. I then went back to Maritzburg, and that's where I worked with German coach Ernst Middendorf. Ernst was brought in 2 days after I arrived. And where the club was in 17th position from 18 teams, by the end of the season, we finished 11th. We managed to save the team from relegation. And then started the season off the following season. And midway through the season, we were in 14th position. The club decided that they weren't going to keep Ernst Middendorf. They let Ernst go. I stayed on when I went to them and I said, listen, I arrived with Ernst and I think I'm going to leave with them. They said, no, we need you to stay on. They then brought in my late head coach, Ian Palmer, who got them promoted the first time back to the PSL. Palmer arrived. We finished that season off in 9th position from 14th.
Yeah.
And went back for pre-season. And 2 weeks into pre-season, I was then let go. I don't know why. I wasn't sure why I was fired. But when that happened and I got home, I just said to the wife, look, I've had enough of dealing with the owners of clubs because you never know where you stand. So what I did was I started a goalkeeping school in Cape Town called Just for Keepers Cape Town. And where I used to go to all the amateur clubs and coach their young goalkeepers. I had offers to go back to the PSL, but I refused. Even Middendorf, he was at Bloemfontein Celtic, and then he went to Golden Arrows. And every time he moved to a club, he'd phone me to say, listen, would you like a job? I said to him, coach, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready to go back into professional football. So I just did my goalkeeping school, and I worked for a club in the Vodacom, which is the 3rd division. You have the PSL, the Premier League, the National First Division, then you have the Vodacom League, which is now the Motsepe League. So I worked there with a team called Glendine, and I did my goalkeeping school where I worked with about 150, nearly 180 kids a week at 3 different amateur clubs in the evening. In the morning, I was at Glendine, and then from 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I did private coaching of individuals, one-on-ones, and then from 4:30, I was with the amateur clubs on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And through that, one of my clubs on the Tuesday night was Ubuntu, which is run by a Zimbabwean from Gweru called Michael Jenkins. It still is.
I didn't know.
I mean, they right now, let me tell you, right now, they're probably the best development. Yeah, they're the best development academy in South Africa, probably one of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, already they've got they have close on.
They produced the.
So
they produced the.
You mean the central? Yes, Luke Fleurs. Luke was one of my players.
Yeah, Luke
for Kaiser Chiefs.
My condolences. Yeah.
No, he was one of my players when the club. Now the club bought an NFT franchise, and Luke made his transition from playing under 17, under 18 football straight into the first team, and started playing as a 17-year-old in the first division, central defender. He was unbelievable talent, unbelievable. Even the central defender that's now with the boy that's overseas, what's his name? He was
Nashe
with the national
Garananga.
team now with Norman. Yes, Nashe was with us
Yeah.
from Ubuntu as a youngster through into. We actually nearly signed him at Stellenbosch. He came there. He was there for 2 months. We had no club, and they said we must have a look at him.
Okay.
The club said no, we'll sign him at the end of the season for next season because we only had like maybe it was 2 months of the season left. And then he got this offer to go to a team in Europe, Eastern Europe, and then obviously from that team he signed for Sheriff, and now I think
Belarus.
he's in Belgium, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yes, so
Yeah, he's in
he was
Belgium.
with us as well.
Same team with
Yeah, so like yes, so like I'm saying, it hasn't been an easy journey. Unfortunately, with my goalkeeping school, it didn't. For about 2 years, I managed to run that. And then what happened was it became like community based. The parents used to pay me a monthly subscription to work with their kids. The parents then eventually couldn't afford the subscription. And then I got an offer when Ashwin Sutton, the assistant coach I worked with at FCAK and Maritzburg, he became head coach at Black Leopards in Venda. And he asked me to come through, and I was with Black Leopards for about 18 months. Our first season, we managed. Eventually, Zeka Marks became head coach. We got into the playoffs to go back to the Premier League, and unfortunately, lost the playoffs against Swallows and Jomo Cosmos. Cosmos were actually promoted because they had scored one goal more than us. Points were the same, just a goal difference. They scored one more goal more than us, and they got
That was,
promoted.
that was tough.
Uh, yeah, Zeka Marks. Yeah, Zeka Marks left. He went and got a job at Santos, and then he phoned me up and said, "Hey, listen, why don't you come home? Come back to Cape Town." The owner, Mr. Ali Gulam Ali, says he's looking for a goalkeeper coach, and they were in the first division. I came back. I was with him for 2 seasons, and then because, like I said, my goalkeeping school, I was still doing part time even when I went back. Michael Jenkins called me up and said, "Hey, listen, for now we have got backers, and Ubuntu are going to buy a first division team franchise. Will you come and work for us?" I said to him, "No, definitely, Michael. I've always got a soft spot for Ubuntu because Ubuntu, like I said, are academy that have a school. The children go to school and they train twice a day. Plus they schooled. They've got close on to 45 kids that are based right now in colleges in America and are playing college football. And I know that Michael and them, Michael makes a lot of trips to Zim to look at the academies there and scout one or two kids that he can bring back and give an opportunity to. But our journey in the national first division, because we had a very young team, the club weren't paying as well as other clubs, but after 2 seasons got relegated.
Okay.
And when that ended, Michael just said to me, "Look, for now we can't afford to pay you in the Vodacom League." I said, "No, I understand that. It's not a problem. I had a very good agent. He passed away in November last year. I mean, we had a relationship for the 22 years I've been in the country, and he's now, like I say, he passed away in November. But Russell was so good. I mean, he always organized jobs for me, and right now he's the one who got me this final job at Stellenbosch in 2019, and I'm still with them. It's 4 seasons on now, and that's my journey in a nutshell. Like I say, it's hasn't been easy. I mean, there were very dark days where you sometimes sitting there in my house and thinking, I have no job. What am I going to do? And you're living at times from hand to mouth. you
Yeah.
know. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't swap it for the world. I mean, I've been blessed enough to have my passion as my career.
Yeah, that's what
I never work
makes.
a day in my life. I'm on a holiday every day.
Yeah, true. When you do things you love, you
Yeah,
just
no,
like celebrating.
exa- absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been fortunate, and I every day I'm on my knees thanking God for another day. Um, I mean, my PSL club registration, the Premier League registration card would tell you I'm number 112. So when the league started, I was the 112th person to have been registered in the Premier League in South Africa. You
Okay.
know, so it shows just how long I've been here and been fortunate enough to have built up a little bit of a reputation, and because, like I said, I had a very good agent, I had good connections, Russell, and he organized me work when I thought, hey, this is the end. My family and I are gone, you know. And Russell came, always stepped in and said, no, P, pack your bags, you go in here. Pack your bags, you go in there. You know, so I've been fortunate and blessed at the same time.
Yeah. So, which prominent players have you coached, like goalkeepers, in your career?
Well, apart from Bruce Krobela at the time with the national team here in South Africa, the late Arthur Bartman.
Okay.
There was a time when I was with FCAK, I had a Congolese international called Michel Babali, who was absolutely outstanding. But the late Senzo Maiwa and Itumeleng Kune used to come and watch our training sessions. And after the one session, late Senzo came to me and said, hey, coach, do you think it possible that myself and Itu could work with you? So I said, well, it's not a problem. When I'm done with training here, we can always go on to the other pitch on the other side. And for like 6 weeks, I was coaching them. They used to come before their training sessions in the afternoons, come and join me in the morning. Shoaib Walters, he was with Bloemfontein Celtic. He came to me at Maritzburg when Middendorp was there. And he started off as the number one at Bloemfontein Celtic, but eventually was sitting in the grandstands, wasn't even getting into the team for 6, 7 months. We took him
Wow.
and came to
What was happening?
Maritzburg, and 6 months later he was sorry,
What was the problem there?
I have no idea. I can't tell you why the coach wasn't using him, but he became
Okay.
our number one at Maritzburg. He was absolutely outstanding to the point whereby he was chosen as the number three goalkeeper at the 2010 World Cup behind Itu and Munib Josephs.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah.
and then I mean, I've got two goalkeepers that I coached from my goalkeeping school that eventually signed and played PSL. That's Marlon Yu and Malcolm Jacobs. Like I said, Brendan Waddle, Ryan Wurst, and yeah, at Stellenbosch, I've got Lee Langeveld, who was the number one there. And then we signed a Dutch international called Boy de Jong that I worked with for a season up until COVID came the following year. Right now, my number one, Sage Stevens. Lee's now the number three in the club, number two, number three. Him and Oscar Masuluke. You know the goal. I don't know if you saw. He's the same goalkeeper who played for Baroka and scored that overhead kick against
Yeah, I saw that
Orlando
overhead
Pirates
kick.
to
Yeah,
win a match.
Oscarin, yeah.
Yeah, so Oscar's with me. He's also part of my goalkeeping department. And while I was doing my school, my goalkeeping school at Ubuntu,
Yeah.
a dad came to me and said to me, Coach, is it possible for you to work with Fletcher Lowe? So I said to him, yeah, but why doesn't he come with the other goalkeepers when I'm working working. He's in the 7 to 10 age group. He must join that group, age group. And the dad said, no, I want you to coach him one-on-one. So when I was done with all the goalkeepers, at 8:30, he used to come in. Then I used to work with him for an hour. And I coached Fletcher from the time he was 7 until about 12 years old. They then, during COVID, moved to Portugal, where they have a water place, and they were going to retire there, the mum and dad. So they thought, look, during COVID, we'll move there now and see if Fletcher will be happy living there. They haven't come back because today Fletcher signed for Benfica.
Wow, really?
And he's with Benfica. He is rated as one of the top 3 under 17 goalkeepers in the country at the moment. And he's in the elite category at Benfica to go through and become the number 1 at Benfica at this time.
What's his full name?
His name is Fletcher Lowe, Lowe.
Okay.
He's only 2007, so he's under 17 at the moment, but he's highly regarded in Portugal as one of the top young goalkeepers, up and rising goalkeepers at the moment.
Wow.
No, man, I've worked with a lot of goalkeepers in this country. I made a lot of goalkeepers as well that have gone on and played successfully in the PSL.
Yeah. And you're still producing some great keepers, I can see.
Right now, I have a young man in our DDC team, our reserve team, called Dejan Asheni. I took him at Ubuntu when he was 13 years old, and he is 19, will be 20 in December. He signed for us beginning of last season. Myself and the head coach for the DDC, Coach Evangelist, we brought him in, and he's actually doing exceptionally well at this time. Very, very well.
Sage Stephen,
and our DDC are top of the log, ahead of Sundowns. Yes. So, well, like I said, Sage Stevens as well, and Oscar, who plays for the when we play our Nedbank Cup games. He's our number 1 goalkeeper there. This is what we do at Stellenbosch to give the other goalkeeper an opportunity to play instead of just sitting for the whole season. So Sage is our league goalkeeper. Oscar's played in all our Nedbank Cup games. And we have a semi-final in 2 weeks' time against Sundowns here in Cape Town in the Nedbank Cup.
Yeah, Stellenbosch is really doing well, like recently.
No,
Mr. Barker has been doing
exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Now, Coach Steve has really done a fantastic job. Not only myself, the data analyst, our assistant coach, Mr. Coach Wesley Seagal, really exceptional guys that are able with their planning, the strategies and the tactical planning for games is absolutely out of this world. Really out of this world.
It's like teamwork.
Yes.
The whole team is just going.
It is teamwork. If it's not teamwork, because we don't have superstars in the team, we don't have big name players. It has to be as one big effort, and a lot of hard work goes into it, especially the planning and the strategies going from game to game. Everybody, including the backroom staff, our kit managers, our drivers, our lady who sits behind the desk at the office, Howard Manuel, our general manager, Mr. Garth LaRue, our CEO, Mr. Rob Bernardi. Everybody pulls their weight and does more than they should be doing in order to be where we are at the moment.
Wow.
It's the only way we able to do so well.
Yeah, I can see there's a lot of good work happening at Stellenbosch. What position are you on the log currently?
We second at the moment.
Wow.
Between
So you might
us,
qualify
Pirates, Sekokune, and for the
for
Champions
cup.
League. That's what we're looking to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh. Ah, that's an achievement for a small
that is
club
what
like
we're looking
Stellenbosch.
to do. And the bottom line is, Sundowns probably have won the league. The big fight now is for second position between us, Pirates, Sekokune, and Supersport right now.
Yeah. So I think you've seen me like checking down. I was checking the messages and stuff from the people, like the viewers and people at home. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a few questions from people I want to ask to you. I don't know
Okay.
if you, yeah. So the first question was that you were once announced as goalkeeper's coach for the national team of Zimbabwe. Was it
Yes, that was
officially
just be
introduced to you? But people never saw you working.
look. Yeah, no, look, that was just before the World Cup qualifiers against Algeria, and at that time they had I can't remember the Serbian coach's name that was there.
Logarosic.
When we were first supposed to go in, yes, when we were first supposed to go into camp for the first sorry, for the first World Cup game against Algeria, the first leg away. Unfortunately, when we got an email from the club, from Ziffer to let the club know that they required my services. Unfortunately, that season we were fighting relegation, and the club had said, "Look, if it was under any other circumstances, they would have let me go. Unfortunately, because we were fighting relegation, it was our second season. Um, they weren't they weren't going to give us weren't going to give Ziffer permission for me to leave. And when they spoke to me about it, at the end of the day, this is my bread and butter here. I was disappointed that they had said I couldn't go.
Yeah.
Um, if I remember correctly, we were actually preparing to play Sundowns at home midweek of the following week after the international break.
Okay.
And if I had left, I would have only had maybe one or two training sessions with my goalkeepers before we played. And that would have been like probably 2 days before the actual game. And when Steve Barker spoke to me, he just said, "Look, Coach P, this is the situation. What do you think it's wise that you leave, knowing that all our livelihoods are on the line here? That if you're not here, we could have a problem with the goalkeepers." So I just said to him, "No, Coach, look, at the end of the day, I get paid by Stellenbosch. I'm still not happy that I can't go, but it's a decision I made. I stayed. We did beat Pirates that game, and then won our next game in
Sorry, guys. We're still trying to reconnect with Mr. Pernell Mcop. I think his network is down that side. So we'll just keep on trying. Yeah, I think it's back. Thank you. Yeah, you're back.
yeah, no, so like I said, we won our game that weekend, which helped towards fighting relegation, but we saved relegation on the last day away to Golden Arrows, where my goalkeeper, Sage Stevens, had gotten injured 4 games before the end of the season and leave Langeveld, who previously was the number one of the club. He was the one in goals when they got, and he came in, kept 4 clean sheets, and we survived relegation.
Okay. The
And
other question.
unfortunately, on my part, yes,
You can finish. Sorry.
I was just saying, unfortunately, on my part, with the national team, they had already brought a local goalkeeper coach in. And I never heard from Ziffer again, which I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Yeah. The other question is that does the goalkeeper's coach have the final say on who will guard the post at any given time, or his job is to guide only? It's from a guy called PJ.
Okay. All the clubs I've been with, the final, I won't say the final say, but the coach will say, I'll give you a good example. Sage Stevens got injured. Just and Oscarine Masaluke came in. Oscarine then played and was actually very, very good for the team. He was outstanding, in fact. We never lost it. We've been 23 games unbeaten so far this season. Oscar maintained that. Sage then returned to the field of play after 6 matches. And as per normal, I sat with the head coach and the assistant coach. And Coach Steve asked me, he said, Coach, what do you think? I said, look, when I first arrived here, we set down a protocol that if you are the club's number one, and if you get injured or suspended, as soon as you come back, you walk straight back into the team. That's the protocol. You are the club's number one. No matter how well the other goalkeeper is playing, he has to understand that the number one is the number one, and unless he gets dropped through poor performance. Okay?
Yeah.
So Sage walked straight back in, and we haven't lost a game. Like I said, that's the protocol we have, and that is one thing that the goalkeepers are made clear of at the beginning of every season, what the protocol is. When the Nedbank Cup came, the first round of the Nedbank Cup, Coach Steve was saying to me, look, I just feel maybe we probably continue with Sage for continuity's sake, because we've already won the Black Label Knockout Challenge Cup by not changing the goalkeeper and using Sage. When the Nedbank Cup first round came and we went home to a first division team, Pretoria Callies, Coach Steve said to me, I want continuity. Sage has been doing well. I said to him, Coach, look, I feel we should stick with what we normally do. Do you think that Oscar's not good enough? He said, no, Oscar should be playing by right. So I said, so why do we want to change the protocol that in the Nedbank Cup, we give the number 2 an opportunity? So he just said to me, look, let me think about it. I said, look, at the end of the day, whatever your decision is, because it's your head on the chopping block. If you don't want to use Oscar, I will back you. If you want to use Oscar, I will still back you. But at least you know, my view is that Masaluke must have an opportunity in the Nedbank Cup. And I'm telling you, Coach, he won't let you down. So the Thursday before we played the Saturday night, actually the Friday morning, Coach Steve called me into the office. He said, look, I thought about it. I think we'll go with Oscar. So I said to him, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I said, even if you told me on to continue with Sage, how am I supposed to argue for a goalkeeper that's in form? How are we going to bring somebody like Oscar in? He hasn't played for about 2 or 3 weeks because Sage has come back. But if you look at his form at training and during my training sessions, he's been outstanding. So I'm comfortable with that. So it's a discussion between myself and the head coach. Even though I give him my views, he's the one ultimately who will make a decision. And if it goes contrary to what I'm telling him, I have to back him because he is my head coach. And sometimes head coaches have a feeling that, hey, I don't think this game we should use this goalkeeper. Coach P, what do you think? Look, I'm comfortable with that, but just know that I prefer if we went with the normal goalkeeper, even though you're thinking contrary to what I'm saying. But I will back you the whole way. And it hasn't let us down. We've never had a problem where my goalkeepers played poorly. And if it's a decision that the coach makes contrary to what I'm saying, and his goalkeeper doesn't, because it's his decision to play the other goalkeeper, I will still back him because that's my job at the end of the day to make sure that goalkeeper is going to perform. If he doesn't perform, look, at the end of the day, he's a human being. These things happen. But then I take responsibility for that.
The other question is coming from Tawanda Chimbora. The question goes like, why has Zimbabwean soccer taken several steps backwards while other leagues are improving? For example, Tanzania, Zambia, Botswana, and maybe we can put South Africa for an instance.
Okay. I've in my opinion, my personal opinion, you got to look at our economy. It's not the greatest at the moment. Money's in short supply. And the fact that Zimbabwe has a viable league that is still able to operate, I think it's a miracle what they're doing. That we've gone backwards. If we had the finances, our infrastructure, our stadiums would have been sorted out by now. Unfortunately, we don't have it seems as though we don't have the cash to do that. So obviously, our football will take a serious knock, not just 1 or 2 steps backwards. It's taken a serious knock. But the fact that they still have a viable league in all of that, I tell you, Victor, and the listener who's just posted a question, it's a miracle that we still have a league running, and that we're still trying to make things work in our football in Zimbabwe.
Wow, yeah, true. So, what do you think about what is the solution going forward to improve our league, our local league, and our football in general in Zimbabwe?
If you talk about Tanzania, you talk about South Africa, it's money. It's cash. Money. It's all about economics. If economics are not viable, nothing is sustainable.
Yeah.
And I'll repeat again, to have a league that's still viable at the moment in Zim, I honestly don't know how they're doing it, but they only have the answers and they must just continue fighting to keep it going. It's the only way.
Yeah, for example,
until something can change.
For example, you see at the national team, they are always changing these coaches, especially under the NC that was appointed by FIFA. They started with the former Highlanders coach, Lito. Now there was Norman Mapeza in between as a caretaker for the tournament in Malawi, and now they don't have. They've never announced the substantive coach. So does it have to do with finance? Yeah. That's the other question.
I think it does. If we listen, if we had finances, we would bring in a proper head coach. And I don't want to get involved in politics because I'm not on the ground. I'm not there. It would be highly unfair of me to have an opinion on something that I'm not close to. Like I said, from what I can see from afar, if we had the finances, do you really think we would be? Do you not think that we would bring in a substantive head coach, somebody whose ability and is proven? Maybe we could even say, listen, the coach Piso Mosemani, we've got We can give you this package.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get somebody like that there. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what any coach that is doing well at the moment. It's down to finances, and not only to pay the head coach. I mean, there's always so many big fights and things when we go to tournaments about cash, about allowances and things like that. You don't have that with Bafana. You never hear it with Bafana.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy job to have a viable national team without finances.
True.
And I'm quite sure a lot of the players that come down there are using their own money for their own expense to fulfill their own expenses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good answer. People may be wondering why do you ever think of coming back to coach back home, like in Zimbabwe?
I think at my age right now, um, I'd love to do something like that,
Okay.
where I'm reaching a point of how can I put it, the twilight of my career. I would say it would be quite difficult to do that. But if an opportunity arises in a sense that I can be part of putting the country back on the map, I wouldn't say I would hesitate at an opportunity of that
For
nature
example,
to
national
help.
team.
It's probably the only way would be in the national team. It
Okay.
would probably be the only way. My life right now, where I am, I can't go back again. It would be difficult. I've made a life for my family and I here. The last time I was home was in April. For the first time in 12 years, I went home in April. I was in Bulawayo, and
Okay.
it was probably something that I now do have the bug to be at home more frequently than what I've been doing.
Okay.
Because it just showed me just how much I miss home.
Yeah. So what about your family? How many kids do you have? Are they into soccer?
I have no, I have three children. My eldest is my son Jodine.
Mm.
Then Shanice, the second eldest, and Chelsea, my last born. Jodine went to CBC, Christian Brothers College in Bulawayo, St. Patrick's.
Okay.
Played as a goalkeeper there. Did quite well. Played for the first team and moved here. Was also a goalkeeper. He played for an amateur club called Durbanville.
Okay.
But he eventually chose education ahead of sporting achievements. He went to University of Cape Town, studied for about 4 or 5 years, got a degree. He's now working. Same thing with my daughters. Shanice has been to university as well, got a degree, and my youngest just finished with the high school now, where she passed matric exams and is looking to do something with her life, but taking a gap year from going to university.
Okay. Sorry, there's another question which just popped up like now. It's from Takudzwa.
No problem.
He was
Okay.
asking, why is it that South Africa is producing more talented goalkeepers compared to Zimbabwe these days? For example, Ronwen Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I would say the expertise and the infrastructure that we have, where there's a lot of modern concepts, a lot of modern day concepts and tools available that help towards that. But you can look at some of the leagues in Africa, You go to Cameroon, you go to Ghana, you go to all these places where they do have a lot of foreigners that come into the country, same like South Africa, that help towards that there. And I just think right now at home in Zim, it's the expertise and just the general infrastructure that needs to be improved to help bring about a better goalkeepers. It's about the goalkeeper trainer. And I know for a fact that right now, because I have a lot of guys that reach out to me from Zimbabwe, who I give advice to, I send some of my training videos to for them to watch. And I mean, they're so hungry out there to learn, to absorb, to be better than what they are. And sometimes you think you're hitting your head up against a brick wall because no matter what you're doing, it's not helping your goalkeepers. But it's just a constant every day of sticking to your job, doing the fundamentals, making sure that the basics are put in, and just every day slog, hard work that helps to get the goalkeepers to here at Stellenbosch this season. My goalkeepers know that I have a saying that we're only going to operate on a high level of goalkeeping. Therefore, the intensity of the training sessions are much higher than it's been since I've been here. Speed, power, and control, which are the main. For me, that's what I do. Is focus on the speed and power and a lot of control. Because I believe 70% of goalkeeping is psychological. It's only 30% of jumping and diving, and the other 70% is all psychological, and that's down to doing the basics, working technically. Every training session for me, I work on technique. I don't just go out there and make them dive all over the place. Yeah, and a lot of the goalkeeping in South Africa prior to now, when I first arrived in the country, it was just about diving.
Okay.
And that's all they did was make the goalkeepers dive. It's not just about diving. It's working on positional play, your footwork, your hands. Footwork is vital. Your hands are important. Working with soft hands, making sure you can catch balls. Your positional play is one of the priorities that allow you to make saves without diving. So the difference I would say between South Africa and Zimbabwe is just the tools that are available, the general expertise that you need to apply.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I think the viewers and I, we have learned a lot of stuff from you. So,
Victor,
do you remember the titles you have won in your career as a player and as a coach? Or you cannot count them anymore?
No, because that's where I talk about legends now. I know I've won 2 league titles at home in Zimbabwe, one with Saints, one with Highlanders. Twice the Chibuku Cup, once with Arcadia Cards and once with Zimbabwe Saints. And then 2 Independence Cups, one at Highlanders and one at Zimbabwe Saints. And then obviously as a player coach, when I was with Kaiser Wolves, winning the titles from the 5th division every year up until the national 1st division. And then when I moved here, I won the
Zimbabwe. Sorry.
Yes, it was a local team from Bottom Green, the team that my friends had started, and then they asked me to come and help them. Because we were friends from school days that played, and the late Shane Kamal also played. Shane played with me at Zimbabwe Saints. He traveled with the Zimbabwe national team for the World Cup qualifier to Algeria back in the day.
Okay.
And then went and he played five-a-side for the Zimbabwe five-a-side team in Holland at one stage.
Okay.
And they were the group of players that used to go into camp at Chikurubi prison. That's where they used to camp before with the national
Oh,
team.
yeah. Ah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yes.
amazed. With,
So here in South Africa,
you can continue. Sorry.
yeah, no, here in South Africa, I mean, I've won two titles. It was with Maritzburg when we won the National First Division to get them promoted, and then now with Stellenbosch to win the Black Label Knockout trophy. I mean, we've been to this is our fourth semi-final, and the Black Label Cup was our first final that we've been into. So in a calendar year, this will be my fourth semi-final, which is the Nedbank Cup, and winning the Black Label Cup, Knockout Cup. But I've been
Okay.
to the Absa Bank semi-final. I've been to the MTN8 semi-finals, but never get into the final to try and win it.
Okay. There's a question. There's a question which just popped up in my mind when you were speaking. Recently,
Okay.
Bruce Grobler came back to Zimbabwe, and he was insisting that he's willing to work with the local football fraternity to revive the football, either as a coach or in administration. But
Yes.
so far, we haven't seen them taking him in like officially. So, what do you think
Okay.
about our football people respecting our legends and trying to work with our legends to revive our football?
Yeah, no, look, I know Bruce was there. He did contact me beforehand to say that he'd be back home in Zimbabwe. And I, I I didn't know what he was doing there, but now that you've informed me, uh, he's always made himself available to help. That's the type of character he is. And at the end of the day, it's difficult to turn away that type of experience. I mean, this man at one stage was regarded as one of the top three goalkeepers in world football. He's still today probably the most successful goalkeeper in English football because of the titles that he won.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know why they haven't tried to bring him on board, even though he's offered. It's difficult to say why, but it's I don't want to put myself out there to say things because I'm not on the ground, Victor. I
Okay.
just find it so difficult to turn away that type of experience. You know, I mean, if the man is offering, uh, see what he's got to offer. What's so difficult in saying, okay, what is your plan? What do you have in mind?
Yeah.
You know, I can't sit here and have an opinion, a strong opinion, and criticize it. I'm not on the ground. I'm not there to see exactly what is going on. I mean, you have this big controversy now with the national team and the England-born players, and um, what opinion do I give you there? I mean, I don't know what's going on in Norman's mind. Does anybody there know the actual story between him and the young man that's made the complaint?
Nome Mapeza and
Or is it just
Jordan Zemura.
yes? I mean, is it just people opinions on what is going on, which you should have one? But is that exactly
Yes.
what Jordan said? Is it exactly what Norman said?
Yeah.
You know, Norman, why the this whole controversy came up that Norman has military style training, and that he told him, I'm Norman, I'm Mapeza, you must ask people. I know Norman when he first came into the national team. I think he
Yeah.
was around 19, 20 years old when Fabish gave him an opportunity to play. I've never known him to be like that. When he was finished playing overseas, I contacted him to say, listen, if you're interested, my agent has told me that there's an opportunity for you to play for Ajax Cape Town. And he said to me, are you sure, Pierre? I said, listen, if you got an agent, this is my agent's number. Contact my agent. 2 months later, Norman was with Ajax Football Club. And I know him. I don't know if he would say something. I don't think he'd say something like that. I'm not sure, but I know your Norman long before he became a superstar, which he was back in the day when he was playing overseas. So,
Yeah.
like I say, to be asked a question of the why they're not taking Bruce Trobler, all I can say is with that knowledge and what he's achieved and his experience, why not? Why not invite him in and say, listen, what is it that you can offer? What are you trying to offer us here right now?
Yeah. True.
And I think that would go for all the legends of the game,
Yeah.
you know. And it's not to go out there and vilify them and because they're legends and you have a position, you think they're coming for your position. Why not ask them what is it that you can offer? How is it that we can go about to make Zimbabwean football, put Zimbabwean football back on the map?
Yeah. But it seems like most of our legends, they are not coming to the party. They don't offer themselves like Bruce was doing. They're just out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
For example, I was thinking even Peter Ndlovu, if he wants to be the next, if he wants to be a Ziva president, he's got the capacity and the stature. Like his career can speak
yes.
for itself. But I've never seen, for example, Peter throwing his head in the box to say, I want to be the next, maybe Ziva president or what.
See for president.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a hot position that there. That's it for presidency. That's a hot position that there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the job that Peter does for Sundowns, uh, he can be there for life. The Ziffer, he gives that up to go for the Ziffer presidency and things don't work out. Then
Yeah.
where does this man stand? And he needs to support his family.
Yeah, true.
So the risks from the legends to become that, unless you yourself know that, look, financially, it's not a problem for me to go there because I'm going to lose nothing. I'm financially strong. It's not a problem. But if you've got a day-to-day job like Peter has at Sundowns, to throw that away and then go across and say, I'm throwing my hat in, and even if you do get that position, the workings of that position it's a political position. It's actually a political appointee. I know that because I remember when I was with the Dream Team and the late what's his name,
Rubbish.
Mugabe.
Mugabe.
No. The late president's nephew that was there.
Yeah.
It I saw that man under immense pressure and stress. Immense pressure.
Yeah.
And it's not just, as I say, I'm Ziffer president. No, it's a political appointment. And you've got to be able to handle uh, everything that goes on with that appointment because that's representing the country.
Yeah, yeah, true.
It's, it's,
Oh,
it's, it's not a position to be taken lightly.
yeah, true. Yeah, we have talked a lot, man. I think you have a lot to say. We should have the whole day to speak because you've got a
Yeah.
whole lot of knowledge to speak about. Do you think
No.
before we go, do you think Liverpool can win the
Oh,
league?
they look, they're top of the log with Arsenal, only separated by goal difference, same points.
Yeah,
Manchester City always have a very strong finish, but I still believe that they could. They're good enough to
yeah,
do that, but they need to find the right form. And Liverpool, you never know. I can tell you for a fact when they played Crystal Palace, and they were talking about Palace's record before coming to Anfield. I said to the wife, if I know Liverpool, we're going to give them 3 points because they're desperate for 3 points. And that's exactly what Liverpool did. They gave them the 3 points when they beat Liverpool 1-0 at Anfield. You
yeah,
know,
true.
and again, they should never have lost. If you look at the chances that they created, it's not as though their goalkeeper was at full extension saving. They were kicking the ball straight at the goalkeeper and then
Yeah,
missing simple chances by not hitting target. But I believe that they could. Any team, the three teams, Arsenal, Liverpool, and City, all have an opportunity. Obviously, because I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm I'm hoping. And being Klopp's last season, it would be good for him to bow out with the league title, hopefully.
yeah. So, where is your brother Henry?
No, Bully's here in Cape Town. Bully's living in Cape Town, happily married. And
Is he
no,
still
Bully's
into
happy.
football?
He's well. No, he's into Manchester United, not football.
Okay. Okay. After just retiring from playing, he never ventured into football.
No, no, he was in the game for nearly 23 years of playing
Yeah.
in Europe and here in South Africa, where he played for when he first came into the country. I had organized via Fabish when Bully had phoned me to say that he wanted to come home after
Yeah.
his time in. He was in Ireland with Shelbourne, and I
Yeah.
said to him, "Okay, what do you want to do?" He said, "P, I don't know. I have nothing right now." So I said, "Look, Reinhard Fabish just signed for Mamelodi Sundowns. Let me phone him." And then I phoned Reinhard. Reinhard said, "No, his Bully is available. We'll send him an air ticket. Tell him to come straight here." So I gave him Bully's number. Bully was with Sundowns for about 4 seasons. Then he went to Wits for about 3 years. He played for two first division teams, Spartak and I can't remember the other one. But it was based in Eldorado Park, and then he retired from football. And then a year later, married a lady from Cape Town, who is my wife's first cousin, whom
Okay.
they had known each other from teenagers, and he's been living in Cape Town since then.
Wow. So, apart from Bully, do you have other sibling? Do you have other siblings?
Yeah, just my sister. My sister's still at home in Zimbabwe, who is
Okay.
Bully's twin sister.
Oh, Bully is a twin.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't know that. I'm still
he's a
learning.
twin. Yeah, no, he's a twin. Yeah,
So
yeah, no,
did your
Bully's a
father
twin.
play football also?
Yes, he did as a youngster. He did play
Okay.
football, but I mean, that was during the Rhodesian days, so they played in their own league at that time.
Okay. So you came from a footballing family. We can say that. We can safely say that.
Yeah, no, my dad played football. No, absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely.
It's been a
And then,
ride,
I mean, thank you,
Mr. Mckop.
Victor. Thank you so much, man.
What are your last words to the people, or to the people in the football lovers all over the world, or the young kids who want to be the footballers, or the people back home in Zimbabwe?
Now, look, all I can say is for the football lovers, I mean, they don't call it the beautiful game for nothing. Eh? There's so much that happens in it. Sometimes it can be cruel, sometimes it can be kind, but at the end of the day, it's continue supporting, continue enjoying it, and all the very best to everybody out there.
Thank you, Mr. Pernell Mcop, for spending
Thank you
your
so
time
much,
with
Victor.
us on our channel for the exclusive interviews. Be blessed.
Thank
God
you.
bless you. I hope you win the Nedbank Cup to add on the titles, and I hope you
Thank you
qualify
so
for
much.
CAF Champions League because you'll be
I
raising
appreciate that.
the flag
Thank you.
for us back in South Africa. There.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you,
Okay.
Victor.
Have a
And
blessed
thank you
day.
to all your viewers for listening.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. So from me, to you all, thank you for joining us today in the exclusive interviews. Today I was hosting, the guest was Mr. Pernell Mcop, an ex-Zimbabwe international and the current coach of Stellenbosch FC, which plays in the DSTV Premiership. So thank you for joining us. Be blessed. God bless you.